we're still trying to be, our role in this region is as a convener, as a connector, and the guys that are on this call today that will be presenting are all over the upstate, and we appreciate what you guys are doing. This is a difficult time. I'm a firm believer that we're a strong community, and it's making us stronger as a region. And I think when we get on the other side of this, whenever it is on the other side of it, we'll look back on this time as a time where our organization has grown and the community has grown too. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dean. Dean?
Great, thank you very much, Terrence. And I will be very brief as well. The first thing I wanted to do is just talk a little bit about some of the new staff members we have at 10 at the top since the beginning of the year. And normally everyone would have met these folks through a meeting or pizza and beer or some event by now, but unfortunately that's kind of been curtailed. So I wanted to take a quick second and provide a brief introduction to our new staff members. First, we have Michael Hildebrand, who is officially the director of the Upstate Mobility Alliance. You will hear from Michael here in a minute, and he is hit the ground running. That initiative, for those who are not familiar, really began about 2.5 years ago with a small group of people in the upstate working together around how do we improve mobility and transportation as a region, and it has led to the development of the Mobility Alliance. And Michael is really doing a great job, and you'll hear about some of the things that he has going on here in a few minutes. Then we have Justine Allen, who is very new to us. She is actually in the end of her second week, and I think onboarding during a pandemic is definitely a book that Justine and I can co-write at some point, and I'm sure some of you are probably dealing with the same kind of things. It was kind of odd. She came in for her first day, signed some paperwork, got her computer, and then we've only seen her virtually since. But she's doing a great job. She's coordinating some of our programs and initiatives, replaced Kaylee Harrison, who has moved on to another opportunity for herself. And Justine will also talk in a minute about a couple of the initiatives she is working on. And then Erica Huffman is also new with us. She is a part-time employee with us, but serves a very vital role as she is coordinating a lot of our administrative work around fundraising and bookkeeping and things of that nature. So those who provide funding support and received your thank you letter without a month or two delay from when you sent us the check, you can thank Erica for that, because previously I was in charge of thank you notes, and that didn't always get done as quickly as possible. So those are our three new staff members. I think most of you have worked with Sharon Purvis at some point in the last year that she's been with us. And if Sharon is online, I'll have her talk in a minute about a couple of the things she's engaged with as part of our work around the COVID-19 situation. But I very quickly just want to mention, as Terrence said, when this started to become very clear that this was going to be a significant disruption, challenge for the upstate region, we looked at 10 at the top of what was our value in terms of things we could do that could help. Our role all the time is to serve as an organization that supports those who are providing services and doing things here in the upstate region, trying to build our collective capacity. And one of the things we recognized immediately was that there was no clear way or distribution opportunity around information in a clearinghouse or repository where people could find what they were looking for, whether it be city or county information, whether it be community resource information, information from other sectors, the utilities, from businesses. And so we jumped on that immediately. Fortunately, we've done some of those things in the past, as many of you know. So we were able to create the Upstate COVID-19 Regional Information Link repository that links to other sites. And just in the 3.5 weeks that we have had that site live, we've had now more than 12,000 unique visitors, over 20,000 some page views for that. So we feel like that is getting a very good, is serving a role to help people find what they're looking for. In addition, we've been very aggressive around social media. Sharon can talk about that a little bit more. We've had more than 100,000 views or whatever that's called through social media, and about I believe the last figure I saw was over 20,000 engagements, of people who had actually clicked on to one of our posts or to a link from it or things of that nature. So that is another tool. And I would say for everyone, please, if you or your organization or community wants to get the word out on anything, we are one of a number of platforms who can help you with that. I think what we all know is people find information through multiple ways. So we feel like, you know, having the repository can be, and the social media platform can be one of those. Certainly, we want to, again, to support all of you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sharon, who is leading a lot of that effort, and she can talk a little bit more about the day-to-day of that, and then also an update on the peak event. Sharon?
Yes, hi. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Dean has given you a lot of the numbers around social media and the repository. That's been really positively received, so I'm happy about that. A lot of the things that folks send me can kind of go in either one place or the other. You know, if it's like fixed information, it can go on the repository. If it's more of a just sort of an event or something that's a little more fleeting, I can do that in social media. So we do have two Facebook accounts. We have the Upstate Vibe 365 and 10 at the Top on Facebook. We have both of those on Twitter. The 10 at the Top LinkedIn is active, and the Upstate Vibe 365 Instagram is relatively active right now. So those are the platforms that we're using. Feel free, if you want to send me something that you'd like to promote on any of those platforms, I'm happy to do that. And I'm sort of scouring folks' pages and getting things shared in a variety of ways. I do want to talk about Peak, our Young Professionals event that had to be moved back. It was scheduled for March 23rd. Obviously that's come and gone. We have, it's currently scheduled for June 15th, which may or may not be overly optimistic of us. So even as social distancing restrictions are lifted, there still might be restrictions on large gatherings by that date. So we do have a couple of Plan C dates that we've got with both our keynote speaker and the venue, the Huguenot Mill and Lofts at the Peace Center. So those, we have a potential date in late August, one in late September, and one in early October. Our committee met virtually last week or this week, I don't know. And we have decided that it's too early to really make a call on whether we want to keep the current panel information as is, or if we want to scrap it or tweak it or whatever. So we will reconvene in May and decide what we're going to do on the panel information. But for now, we are still planning June 15th. So I think that's all for me. Turn it back to you, Dean.
Great. You know, one of the things we wanted to do with this call, and will every week, is that it is not just about COVID-19. It also is about, you know, there are other initiatives and things that our organization and others are doing, even as we're unable to meet and collaborate in person per se. And a great example of that are really the next two presenters who are going to talk about some things that are going on, some of which are related to COVID-19, but some of which are really a continuation of the work that has been going on across the upstate for a while. The first one is Michael Hildebrand. I mentioned him a few minutes ago as a new staff member. And Michael, I will turn it over to you to give an update on what you're doing with the Upstate Mobility Alliance.
All right, thanks, Dean. So there are, I'll give two quick updates. The first is around transit and communities specifically. So in Greenville, GreenLink is currently running fare free. They're also limiting ridership to no more than 10 per bus. So there have been a few instances where they've had to drive past a stop because people are waiting, but the bus has 10 people on it. But ridership, as you can imagine, is down in Greenville. Anderson is originally did a fare free. They actually found that increased their ridership, people just looking to get out. So they've gone back to charging a fare. But overall, both Anderson and then also Cat Bus in Clemson are seeing decreased ridership. So an area that we've seen an increase of is the use of our public spaces, so sidewalks, bikeways, and trails. So the Swamp Rabbit Trail in Greenville, the city closed the section that runs through the city. I believe the Doodle Trail is also closed. So, and that's because the sheer number of people that are showing up and trying to get outside. So those are kind of COVID specific. From an Upstate Mobility Alliance standpoint, two big areas for us right now. One is we are still coordinating and convening several different groups. I had a call yesterday with an organization that's interested in a pilot program. So I'm working with GreenLink right now to gauge their interest. I had another meeting this morning focused a little more specifically on some funding opportunities for a public transit organization. So from a convening side, we are still very much staying active and busy, and people are adjusting to this new format, and things seem to be going well. The other piece that I'm really pushing right now is education. So I've started a weekly interview series, and we post those on the Upstate Mobility Alliance website, which is upstatemobilityalliance.org. Tomorrow, I'll actually be interviewing Suzanne Dickerson, who was with the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness. We'll talk about freight traffic in general, and then the impacts of COVID on freight in South Carolina. So those are the types of interviews that we're doing. We, similar to 10 at the Top, continue to push out articles and other educational pieces on our LinkedIn and our Twitter pages. And for us, that's my update, Dean.
Great, thank you, Michael. Next, we have Erin Ouzts, who is the coordinator of the Upstate Entrepreneurial Ecosystem, has been leading that for a while as a volunteer and also as a part-time supporter for 10 at the Top. And Erin also has both COVID-19 related things that are going on, and then other things that the ecosystem is doing that are a continuation of the work they've had. And Erin, appreciate you giving a report as well.
Good. Well, Dean, thank you very much. And thanks for convening, everyone. It's nice to talk to you today. We are still staying very active in our ecosystem of support for entrepreneurs. The purpose of an ecosystem is to transfer knowledge from those who have it to those who need it when they need it. So all of our activities are around that kind of a premise. So for COVID-19 specifically, we've started a weekly 1-hour webinar where we have experts talk about some fairly narrow topic related to the changes that we're all experiencing right now. So the first one was with the SBDC, or the area director of the SBDC, talking about the SBA lending that's coming down and some of the specifics. Then we had, and then the next one was on, sorry, I've already forgotten. It's the one just this week.
Michael Nail.
Pardon me? Oh yeah, it's on the legal stuff. Sorry about that. I've got all my notes over here too, but I'm not looking. The next one was on the legal aspects related to your employees and how that's all changed now, and all the reporting and the types of requirements you have with those employees. Then upcoming, we have non-SBA lenders who will be talking about the support and resources and lending that they have. And then the week after that, we will have a tax accountant talk about how to take advantage of the tax changes or the tax deferrals that you can do within your company or your startup or your growing firm. And we target these two entrepreneur support organizations so that they can then take this information or knowledge out to their clients. So it's essentially one to few to many, so that we can amplify the message as best as possible. But while we're doing that, we have a few work groups that are continuing to find ways to transfer knowledge from those who need it, from those who have it to those who need it. We have a storytelling work group. We have an intersections work group. We have a connecting the disconnected work group. And we have a global entrepreneurship week work group. And then we also have a regional vision work group. Since we're going to be talking every week, I'll go into more detail with with one each week so that y'all can learn a little bit more about that. But those groups are working on ways to make sure that entrepreneurs and business owners have the knowledge and the information and the resources they need when they need it around the upstate as they grow their businesses in all kinds of different ways.
Great. Well, thank you, Erin. And as Erin said, there are a lot of things going on in that realm. And I think one of the things that we have seen very interesting during this time is that small business entrepreneurs and also nonprofits have been included in the enhancements in the CARES Act and other things. So people are recognizing, the role all of these groups play within the overall economy. And it isn't about just supporting and propping up the big boys, the major companies. And I think that's a testament to the fact that entrepreneurs, small business owners, and nonprofits play such a vital role in our community and in our economy. And so I think it's important, and many of you have been part of other webinars and things around this as well. And we, through the community calendar we have, are trying to keep up with all the other webinars that folks are having, and Sharon is putting some of those out on the social media as well. So,
Yes.
Thank you, Erin, for doing that. And now we'll turn it over to Justine, and we're really going to see, as I mentioned, Justine has been with us now for 2 weeks, and now she's being asked to give an update around two initiative areas, or a number of initiative areas that she has actually not had any meetings with. So we'll see how on her game Justine is. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I look forward to having pizza and beer with you one day. Soon, hopefully. Yes, that was funny. I've got some updates. One of the committees I hadn't heard of until today. So I will look forward to getting into that one too. I have 4 quick updates. The first is on the education spectrum. In November, the Teach at the Top teacher elevation campaign was started. And that's with a focus on the need for teachers in K through 12 in the upstate. The plan is to develop a web portal that will help potential teachers, providing resources for them and pathways how they can go about becoming a teacher. We've looked at models in Kentucky and Mississippi. They have great websites that are very clear and provide wonderful information and resources for teachers of all kinds. So the original plan was to create the website and then focus on the Teach at the Top elevation campaign. But with the recent happenings, there were so many great things in the news with teachers and students that a Facebook page was started. If you see any news that is good news about teachers in the upstate, students, the community working with schools, feel free to, you can post directly on the it's called Teach at the Top Facebook page, or you can send that to me too, and I'd be happy to put something up there. So after while we're working through this crisis this summer, we'll continue to work with the education spectrum committees on developing a plan to elevate teachers, and we'll get some more funding. The South Carolina Department of Commerce has provided some initial funding, and after we get the website going, we'll have some additional opportunities for funding, and so we can do more marketing and get more of the news out to the community. The Senior Issues group is next. There was a speaker series planned, but that has been postponed to an August start due to the pandemic. And a case document has been started in order to collect data about current and projected needs of seniors in the upstate, with the idea to push this out to business and community influencers so they can share that information with their constituents in the upstate. We have the professional planners group, which I keep wanting to call the planning professionals group. So if you hear me say that, it's okay, I'll figure it out eventually. The first meeting was scheduled for March, and of course that was moved to May. And now at the beginning of May, we'll look at when we should actually do that. And there is also a tentative plan to get Clemson graduate students in the next school year working together on issues around interconnectivity in land use and transportation in the upstate. And lastly, the Upstate Air Quality Advisory Committee was going to have a meeting in May. It's National Air Quality Awareness Week, but of course that one was postponed too. So I have a lot of meetings that were postponed, but I'm also on a lot of great video like this with all of you. So thanks very much.
Great, good job, Justine, for your update, even with not having a chance to work with some of those yet. But as you can see, there is a good bit of things going on, and we're continuing to move those forward with our partners and others in those different areas. Now, what we're going to do is we asked some of our partners from different communities across the region to give us 1 or 2 minute update on things in their community. What are going well? What are some challenges? How can we collaborate and work together? And so we're going to go through these updates. The first one, we have Hannah Jarrett with the United Way of the Piedmont. And the great thing about that is that the United Way of the Piedmont works in Cherokee, Spartanburg, and Union counties. And so for today, Hannah is going to give us an update on things happening in all 3 of those counties. So Hannah, thank you for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So I'll just share some brief updates about Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties. We have been coordinating calls with partners in all 3 counties over the past several weeks, with weekly calls with the faith community, nonprofit community, calls about homelessness, and I'll just share highlights from that. I'll start off with by saying that United Way of the Piedmont has a COVID response page where you can find links to any of the things that I share today. So whether it's about volunteer needs or donation needs, it's uwpiedmont.org/UWP responds to COVID-19, or you can just Google that. So we are seeing a lot of need come in. We are partnering with 211. So anybody who has been impacted by the pandemic in terms of losing their job or having reduced hours, we're asking them to call 211 or to go to sc211.org. They have a special intake that they are doing. We then get that information about the person, how they were impacted and what their needs are, and we're following up with them, whether it's through financial assistance or referral to a nonprofit organization for safe food. We've had 44 people already reach out through that form for Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties. Every single one of them has either lost their job, have hours significantly reduced, or been furloughed. And I don't know of any of those 44 who have yet to receive their unemployment yet. So they need help during the meantime, primarily with their rent, their utilities, and with food. And this is mostly people who haven't sought assistance in our community for quite some time, or this is their first time that they have reached out for assistance that we have record of. So we anticipate also that this is just the very beginning, of course, and that we will continue to see an influx of people reaching out for help and assistance, especially once the moratoriums are lifted on evictions and shut-off notices with utility companies. So we're having conversations with the nonprofit and community about how to best prepare for that influx that we know is coming. We are asking, because we're referring so many people to 211, we're asking that all nonprofit organizations or service providers make sure that their information is up to date with 211, to make sure that we're not adding additional frustration or confusion with during all of these unknowns, even if that means you have to update it daily. So making sure that that information is up to date. Some specific needs that we're seeing from our nonprofit partners are definitely food. A lot of our food pantries are really struggling to meet the demand right now. Several of them have had to close for a week at a time because they've run out of food and they have to build back up their stock before they're able to help. Most organizations have moved to have shifted their services in some way to be drive-through or virtual over the phone type assistance when that makes sense and is available. And again, we're asking people to update that type of information, whether there's hours or availability. In all three Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties, we are seeing the need for childcare is primarily something that I think a lot of partners are still grappling with how to address that. I know the Spartanburg YMCA is providing childcare for essential service employees on Monday through Friday, which is great. And Cherokee County, there's been a first steps taking the lead on that. In Union County, Salvation Army of Union County is closed at this time, and they're referring anybody to the Spartanburg Salvation Army location. That presents a huge challenge for that community because they don't have a lot of services or organizations there to help. And Salvation Army was one of the biggest and best resources for that community. So we're gonna try to figure out what we could potentially do related to that, and that just happened this week. So in terms of there's a lot of organizations that need volunteers, donation, all of that is on United Way of the Piedmont's Get Connected page. So please, if there are people who want to donate or learn how they can volunteer during this time, please, in Spartanburg, Cherokee, Union counties, please direct them to the United Way of the Piedmont page. And then the last thing that I'll mention is that there's a statewide fund called the 1SC fund. And that is the way that will work is each county will then apply for funds mostly through their United Ways, and then that money will be distributed out to the nonprofit organizations to help them continue to provide services during this time. And we are doing our coordinated applications with all of the nonprofit partners in Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties to bring those grant funds into our community through the 1SC fund. I don't know if there's any specific questions or topics that might be of interest to this group. You can either put them in the chat or I can take them afterwards or now, whatever y'all prefer.
Great, thank you, Hannah. Yes, if anyone wants to ask any questions or get anything through chat, and we will also make sure the links as she talked about are included. Next, we have Mike Clary from the city of Abbeville. Mike, are you there? All right, Justine, I see Mike's name, but for some reason he is not, I'm not able to connect him or unmute him, so we'll try to get that figured out. And then while we're doing that, we will move on. Pam Christopher with the Anderson Chamber of Commerce. And Pam, thanks for being with us. I know you guys have been doing a lot, and if you'll give an update on Anderson County. see, where did Pam? All right, well, I'm 0 for 2. Gotta love technology. I'm gonna, we'll try to figure out Pam here in a minute, but
Dean,
yes.
Mike Clary says he's on via phone, so you might have to unmute him.
Okay, what phone number? Did he tell you that?
He doesn't say that. Let me see if I can figure that out from his screen here. Oh, it's 864-366-5017.
5017.
Or 1800. He's not sure which one. 366-1800. Oh, and Pam also says we can't hear her. She's talking.
Okay.
Hear me now?
Mike,
there's
are
Mike.
You there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here. All right. Thanks, Dean. Sorry about that. As far as Abbeville goes, I think we're in a very similar position what many rural communities have right now. Specifically, my office has been really trying to help market local businesses and encourage our residents to shop local. And we've been using the Shop Local Safely hashtag, as well as trying to act as a resource directory for businesses that have questions about the new available programs. And speaking with one of our local banks this morning, they mentioned that they should be closing on just over $1 million in loan funds next week. So it was definitely encouraging to see some of those dollars starting to make their way down here. As far as specific challenges, a lot of our recent growth, and I guess just really energy as a community, have been built around a growing tourism sector here that had a specific focus on the Abbeville Opera House, and of course that's taken a major hit. But we are very confident that that will come back as soon as all this passes. And on a positive note, I do have two things. The first is that the business incubator that we announced last fall, we have been able to fill. And the second is that work has begun to restore one of our most iconic historical structures, Trinity Episcopal Church. And there's certainly a lot of other things going on here in Abbeville with the hospital, the county, the school district, and other nonprofits. But I think I'll let someone from those agencies speak to some specifics of what they're doing on future calls. And that's all for me.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. And next, I'm still working to get Pam. So let's go to Katy Smith from Piedmont Health Foundation. And in Greenville, they've been doing a lot through the Greenville Partners for Philanthropy, the Nonprofit Alliance, the United Way, and many others. So Katy, appreciate you giving an update on what is happening in Greenville.
Great, thank you. Great to be here. So I would echo a lot of what Hannah said. Similar approaches here in Greenville County of United Way taking the lead, of gathering charitable contributions, of using the 211 system to connect people to resources. Our 211 has shown that the initial waves of calls were really focused on food. And then the second wave that's been building is related to shelter, both short-term shelter for folks who are homeless and then help with housing supports. And so that's where the United Way dollars have gone to start with. And then we've been in communication with the 1SC fund that Hannah mentioned to making sure we're making the best use of those resources between local and at the state level. As Dean mentioned, we have been doing weekly calls with our Nonprofit Alliance and our funders to just make sure we're aligned. And I'll just sort of flag that I'm concerned about the health of our nonprofit sector, along with small businesses, depending on how long this takes because of charitable giving going down, folks having to cancel events, and then, just being behind the curve once recovery comes, depending on when that is. So we're trying to help folks access those Paycheck Protection Program funds. Just a comment I'll make for everyone's consideration. We've talked a lot about the role of philanthropy and charity in helping with this, and then where charity and philanthropy can just not go far enough. So our Greenville Partnership for Philanthropy members are paying close attention to legislation and policy at the state level and at the federal level, because some of this lift is bigger than what we can do. So there are things like expanding SNAP benefits that could help our food dollars go farther. You probably have heard there's a second wave of the stimulus package going through that looks at hopefully addressing some of the challenges that the Paycheck Protection Program of 2 weeks ago had. You probably have in your community seen organizations, businesses have trouble accessing those dollars because their bank doesn't participate in the program, or needs them to have a loan product when they only have a checking product. So the discussions in the Senate right now are focused on rectifying that. So if you want to pay attention to that, it might be worth giving a call to Senator Scott or Senator Graham with your opinions on that matter. I'm really proud of how all of us, I mean, all of you guys on the screen right now in your communities have rallied to really help your constituents figure out how to, you know, bail out the water from this boat. I'm looking forward to continue those conversations as we figure out, is this a new normal? How long is it going to last? How do we collaborate to help? So there's lots of great stuff happening in Greenville, as in all of your communities, but that's my point of view from philanthropy.
Great. Thank you very much, Katie. And as I said, their calls each week have been tremendous and really helping in that community gather the nonprofits and helping with their health in Greenville. And certainly if we can take some of the lessons that are being learned in Greenville to the rest of the region, we want to do that as well.
And I want to give a shout out. Catherine Puckett's on this call. She leads our Nonprofit Alliance, and she's been a great colleague in making that happen. So thanks for that, Dean.
Great, perfect. Thank you, Katie. Next, we're going to go to Angel Laborde with the Greenwood Chamber. Angel?
Hi. Well, good afternoon.
Hi, Angel.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, I want to tell you, we're really proud here in Greenwood. We've had significant community collaboration occurring among all sectors. Our effort is being led by our County Emergency Management Office, and he has convened weekly meetings of Greenwood officials like the Chamber, our local economic development organization, City, County, United Way, and the media. And we have had several calls as well with our industry leaders and other HR professionals. And, you know, many of them are operating as they can. They're staggering shifts, sending their administrative people, obviously, to home to work. We've had lots and lots of business surveys, and there is engagement, but I think everyone is getting tired of so much communication. I think it's a little bit overwhelming. So we're trying to monitor that. Obviously, like your communities, many of our small businesses have shuttered. They tried to probably make a go of it in the beginning, but as time has gone on, they're trying to manage their employee resources as they can. Our Greenwood Mall has closed. Lowe's seems to be the most popular place in town because it is still open. I will comment a little bit. Mike mentioned in Abbeville about tourism, and our chamber operates our South Carolina Festival of Flowers, and that has been put on hold. That's usually the first weekend of June. Again, we're going to revisit that on May 1st and see where we are. A bright spot is that our Greenwood Topiary exhibit with the festival will come out June 1st through July 12th. So that is still on tap, and people can come uptown and social distance and view the topiaries. The chamber, like all the other chambers, we're working with our local SBA rep, trying to get information out about the loans, the PPP. We have started an aggressive webinar schedule, again, pushing out information about employment issues with labor attorneys. This afternoon, we had a stress management seminar, and we've really connected, at least on 2 different calls, with our local nonprofit community. We are also discussing a highly reduced media advertising campaign to try to tell our businesses to, try to engage if they can with us between the local radio station and newspaper. We've also increased social media like all of you have. We're using hashtags like Greenwood Open for Business, as well as we created something called Greenwood Good Deeds, which we thought it was would be a nice opportunity to talk about all the good news and good things that are happening among businesses. Our local community foundation has also started a disaster fund for the area nonprofits, and they're working through that. And finally, on Monday, we've got a small group of us that will convene around continuing the conversation regarding recovery efforts for small businesses and developing a plan of action when we can get through all of this. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Angel. I believe I have Pam Christopher unmuted now. Pam, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank Jesus. Okay, so let me give you the update of what we've got going on. Gosh, there's a lot, just like you've heard earlier from Angel. So we have a business update section on COVID-19, things for our business, things for the community, and everybody does from the city side, county side. Many people in our community do, and I think that's great because they can hopefully get access from several of us throughout the community. We've, like everyone else, we've been pushing stuff out on CARES Act, PPP, EIDL. I think the only thing we're hearing is some of the banks have had a hard time accessing those understanding of the requirements and the funding and guidelines from SBA. Angel, I'm looking at you. You probably have heard the same thing. But we're finally hearing that they're getting some better assistance from that. Would like to say, too, that we've been contacting our business community via phone, trying to find out how all our businesses are doing, trying to find out what we can do to access and get them the answers they need. We've been doing business assistance Zoom calls, too, with our categories of businesses. So like our architects and engineers on the phone calls, our manufacturing, to find out what we can do to assist them better. We've been doing webinars through, we're offering those through Google as well, especially during this time, to look at what they can do through this business disruption. One is using data to drive growth. Let's grow your business, and you know, really just online through business disruption, how you can be online and contact your customers. So that is working well, and we've been doing some other our networks and our normal programs through Zoom meetings. So I haven't had the problem with the phone like I did today, so this is an unusual thing. Obviously, we're having issues too with childcare, which is what you heard from United Way saying. You know, you have people saying, well, there's some things put in place for some essential workers, but those of us that, you know, aren't in like healthcare, those kind of things, like your first responders, we're having a hard time, you know, trying to have childcare so we can get to work because some of our spouses can't. So, you know, that's a problem, especially if it's a single parent. But there's really not an answer to that right now, I don't think, in any of our communities for those that aren't considered first responders. Our restaurants are still having a struggle. I've checked in with several of them. It's a little bit more now that they've, you know, done where they need to be sheltered at home for those that aren't what are classified as essential businesses. So those non-essential workers are, you know, now at home, and it's affected the restaurants. They're not having as much business as they have. And obviously the merchants now that people are at home. So, you know, just trying to find a new way for them to live in this new normal and to keep commerce going. Our university, Anderson University, Tri-County Tech, and Clemson are doing online classes. That seems to be going well for them. We've been checking in with them. And then we just did start COVID-19 Anderson County series that we're doing in conjunction with Anderson Career and Technology Center. They've allowed us to use their radio station. So we started that last night, and we have leaders throughout the community lined up to already speak, and it's from 5 to 6 p.m. each night through the weeknights. And we led out with Bill Manson, CEO of AMED Health, last night. Rusty Burns, our Anderson County Administrator, will be on tonight. And then tomorrow, Mac Durham. I have all the Mayor Mac Durham from Williamson. All the mayors are going to be participating and speaking. And then we have the Anderson County delegation that represents us in South Carolina that's going to come on and talk about what they're doing. We're trying to see if we can't get federal people in there as well. And I think that's going to move forward. We actually already have people calling us asking if they can be on it as well. So we're keeping our social distancing. We're 6 feet apart from each other, but it's just the instructor from Anderson Career Technology Center, myself, and the person that I'm interviewing, and our own Mayor Roberts is going to be on next Tuesday. So it's been going very well, and I think it's a great way to make that connection with our entire community where they can get the information they're seeking and also ask questions. Our superintendents will also be on there as well, and looking to get Galen, I know, is already interested. We're trying to get Galen DeHay, and from Tri-County Technical College, Evans Whitaker from Anderson University, and Jim Clempence from Clemson University. So I think that'll hopefully go well with trying to get information out to the masses.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Pam. And yes, we have.
Dean, can I ask Pam a question real quick for clarification there? What is the frequency numbers of that radio station? I have the call letters, but I don't know the frequency. Do you know that?
Yeah, it's WPPB. Let me look up. I don't know if I have the frequency. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I've got that on here. I'm looking through. Gosh, they can tweet into it, but I'm trying to look at what the numbers are. I have the phone numbers. I can send those to you as well, so they can call in this evening at 5 and ask questions, and I'll get all that for you and send that to you, Sharon. So
Thank you
share
so
it out
much.
to the group.
Okay.
You bet.
All right, we're going to go on, and I apologize for everybody. I thought we could, even with everybody giving great information, I said, well, we don't need a full hour. Well, I think I'm proving I'm not correct on that one, and everybody's doing great. And so we're going to next go to Amanda Munyan. You may have seen in our e-newsletter that came out today, Amanda gave an update on what they're doing in Lawrence. They've been very creative around social media for quite a while, but now with COVID-19, they're doing even more, trying to promote the Lawrence businesses. So Amanda, if you'll take it over and share with what you're doing.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to put the write-up in your newsletter today. I hope that everyone takes an opportunity to look over that. We are like the other chambers that have spoken today, doing many of the same things, trying to communicate and be a convener in our community to make sure that we are a resource and have the information that we need to support our businesses and the community as a whole. But one of the areas that we really focused on is trying to help our small businesses. A lot of them at this point may not even have social media pages, which is a thing that has obviously opened our eyes to as we begin to recover out of all of this. That's definitely an area that we're going to focus on to help individual businesses. But we've been calling these businesses, talking with them one-on-one, checking on them. We have a rotation that we have going on with all of our membership. And then even outside of our membership, we're trying to support a lot of the businesses that aren't technically chamber members, because we want everyone to be successful, because we feel like we need to work obviously as a team and as a community at this point. So we're using our Think Local Lawrence County Facebook outlet to try to share what other people are doing. We reached out to a lot of our businesses, and I think this was successful, and asked them to send us a video because obviously we're not going and visiting them at this point, but what better way than to hear directly from these business owners. So many of them sent in videos. So we were pleased to receive those and be able to share them and get some interaction with that. But mainly, once more, we're doing social media. We're trying to make it easily accessible for people to find a list of restaurants that are doing curbside or delivery with the telephone numbers attached to that on our social media, and then just share that information. Another thing that we have been working on is celebrating our local heroes and the people that are making adjustments but still trying to continue in their roles. Obviously, our healthcare workers, we asked the hospital to go around and make signs saying something and then send those pictures into us. We've also worked with our local schools, the 2 different school districts, and put together some things of the teachers holding up messages to their kids, which this is floating around a lot of different areas, but we reached out to our law enforcement and they haven't actually sent them in yet, but we're in communication with a lot of those people to share their images and the messages that they may have for the community, just because this is obviously a time that everybody seems to be pulling together and doing really well. There's a lot of people that are like leaving rocks that are painted at the hospital, and they're doing the chalk and the bear hunt. I'm sure y'all seen all of these different things, but we're also trying to promote the good deeds. I'm sure that's I'm assuming kind of what Angel was talking about with the efforts that they were making as well. So it's just trying to let everyone know that we're here and just trying to work through this like so many others are.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Amanda. And next, Dave Eldridge in Oconee. I know there's a lot of stuff going on as well, Dave, and if you'll give an update on what is going on in Oconee.
Be happy to, Dean. We're doing through our chamber a lot of the similar programs that others have described, so I won't go repeat those. A couple things that I think you'll find interesting. We formed an organization over in Walhalla to protect our local businesses that are downtown. And we raised quite a bit of money, so we're actually going to be making grants to our retailers that are in our downtown area. No strings attached, just to help them pay their bills and get things done. My goal is to then start to double the amount of money we've got to do that. Thought you'd find that interesting. And Erin, I think you'll find this to be of help to you as well. For those of you that may not be familiar with an organization called SCORE, it's part of the Small Business Administration, and it stands for Senior Corps of Retired Executives. Get just started last month what's called the Women's Business Leaders Resource Center. And you can get online with it on score.org, and it's devoted for providing various resources that have not been available for women-owned businesses. So I think that's something that would be good to promote as well. So other than that, our county only has 11 people with the virus that we know of so far. No deaths yet, but we know that those numbers will increase as time goes on. So that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Dave. And last but certainly not least, we have RCostner, County Chair in Pickens County. And I must say, I have been following on Facebook and looking at Ken Roper, your acting city manager, county administrator, and he's been doing a phenomenal job every day with updates. And if you'll share an update for what you guys are doing in Pickens.
Sure, and thank you so much for doing this. I've always wanted to be a part of the Brady Bunch, and this is kind of cool. So things really change a lot in our environment, so it's really difficult sometimes to, I guess, cut through the news cycle and the clutter. And so we've started up right now with Code Red Alerts, which basically sends, time-sensitive information for Pickens County straight to a phone or an email. People text My Pickens SC to 99411, and we send out that information. One of the things that County Council did at the last meeting was we eliminated our credit card fees online for the next 30 days. It actually cost the county about $18,000. I know we just passed those fees along, but we wanted to at least do something since people can't get to the administration ability to pay some of the taxes or fees that they have to do. You mentioned Ken Roper, our acting administrator. He actually holds a daily conference call every morning at 8:30 with every one of the department heads, getting a situation report and then getting that out to the community through email and through his videos. One of the things that we've been faced with here lately, and I don't know if you guys have in the other counties, is all the social media clutter about how we're going to stop people in their vehicles and check for compliance with the home or work order from the governor. We're not doing that. We're not requiring any permits or papers. If you're supposed to be going to work, go to work. Use your best judgment. One of the other things that we're focused on right now is with solid waste, ramping up our facilities, because we're gonna have to handle additional volume, especially as we go into this weekend. We're thinking about what are we gonna do for a marketing campaign for Earth Day, since we can't have an organized cleanup. So we're asking people to pick up litter as they are social distancing outdoors, since Earth Day is coming up April 22nd. We also have a new procedure in place for our inspectors. So the inspectors have been instructed not to enter any structure, and the owner or contractor can be on site, and the inspections being done via FaceTime and through photos. And we've just started that process, so we'll see how that goes. We have a special term of court next week via video conference for jail pleas only. And then just this past week through the COVID-19 Relief Fund, we were able to purchase a freezer for Meals on Wheels. So that's one of the things that enabled it. We enabled the opportunity to do this because in our emergency ordinance, we basically set it up to where we wanted to create an at-risk task force. Those people, in other words, maybe repurpose those people within the county to be a part of a task force to help with our at-risk population. What that means is they can start working with Meals on Wheels, the School District of Pickens County, the United Way, the different organizations like that, where they need those volunteers, need help, and need the opportunity to take advantage of some of those COVID-19 relief funds. So that's about all I have for Pickens County right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Roy. Again, I apologize that I guess the good news is we're under an hour. The bad news is I thought we'd be a little bit quicker than that, but I think that's my fault. The updates have been great, and our plan moving forward is each week to have a couple focus areas. If anyone has seen on the chat, Ann Engemeyer had a great point around the challenges around the unemployment insurance. I think that'll be one of the things we focus on next week a little bit, is the unemployment side. So be looking for that to be included, and then the county updates, some of the same folks, and then we'll also have some other folks from the different counties as part of that as well. So we're learning and evolving this. If you would like to make sure that something you're doing is included in one of our weekly chats, please let me or Justine know, and we'll be happy to include that. So Terrence, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you wrap us up.
Okay, thanks, Dean. Thanks, everybody. I guess I jinxed us on the front end, said that these Zoom meetings are shortening, but we've got a lot of good information out there, and I just want everybody to keep up the good work, and everybody stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.